The events of our film begin when Princess Fiona was cursed with a curse that caused her to turn into an ogre. The problem is that after that, she fell in love with a green ogre named Shrek, and they got married. Shrek and Fiona returned home, and there Shrek was surprised by his friend Donkey, who asked him to stay with them in the house. But Shrek refused and told him that I am now a married ogre and need privacy with him. I saw him and asked him to walk. The king's guards, Fiona's father, arrived at Shrek's house and gave Shrek and Fiona a royal invitation from Fiona's father, inviting them to a party in the palace on the occasion of their marriage. We noticed that Donkey was still there with them, and that's why he decided to trick Shrek into taking him with them to the party. Shrek is already very hesitant and doesn't want to go, and he tells me, "Fiona, sure, your family won't accept our appearance and will be shocked by us." But Fiona told my partner, "Believe me, our difference makes them love us." And she kept tricking him so they would leave. But Shrek disagreed with her, and they quarreled with each other. But after much insistence from Fiona, Shrek agreed to go and accept the king's invitation, and of course Donkey continued to deceive them so that they would take him. With them, a partner eventually had to take him with them. Along the way, we find a partner, workers, yelling at Donkey because he talks too much, and every time he asks them how far Faddle is on the road, this is something that makes Shrek very upset. After a long distance, Shrek, Fiona, and Donkey finally arrived at the kingdom, which we know is called the Far Kingdom. The royal guard announces the recent arrival of Princess Fiona and her husband, the prince, to the kingdom. Fiona was very happy because she had returned to her kingdom, but Shrek was very nervous whenever they approached the palace. Shrek and Fiona got out of the car, and of course the people. They were very surprised by their appearance, and they preferred to talk to each other, something that disturbed Shrek, and it annoyed him the most nervous. The king was very surprised and kept telling the queen that the magic prince who would meet our daughter Fiona was supposed to return her to her natural appearance. But the queen told him that they looked happy together, and this was basically the most important thing in the passport. Of course, Shrek felt nervous about people standing around him like this and said to Fiona, "I told you from the beginning not to go to the kingdom. We were supposed to live in our house and not mix with anyone." After that, the king invites Shrek and Fiona to sit and eat with them. Shrek and Fiona were sitting very nervous because they felt that everyone around them was watching them in amazement. And then we saw Donkey, their friend, suddenly enter and continue to make strange movements in front of the king and queen. Shrek was embarrassed in front of the king and told him that he wanted to sit and eat with them, and of course the king was very surprised. But Fiona spoke to the king and said, "Believe me, this donkey is very handsome and was the main reason for saving me from the monster." She asked the king if Donkey would sit and eat with them, and Fiona's mother began after that. "You ask her about the place where she lives, and whether she is comfortable there or not, and you also ask her if she and Shrek are thinking about children now." We noticed that the king and Shrek were upset when they heard this topic, but Shrek was more upset when they heard this. He felt that the queen was not accepting and was not satisfied with his appearance. The food finally arrived, but the atmosphere was negative between the king and Shrek. Whenever the king provoked Shrek, Shrek would become very agitated and would continue to violently cut the food in front of him. We find the queen trying to calm the atmosphere a little, but to no avail. She suffocates Fiona and goes out into the palace balcony to smell the air. Suddenly, a fairy appears to her and promises her that she will help her solve all her problems. But suddenly Shrek and Donkey enter the balcony, and Shrek becomes very agitated and tells Fiona that they should take their bags and go home now. The fairy tells Fiona that she can ask for it at any time and she will show it to her. Then we meet Fiona. She starts blaming Shrek and tells him, I didn't even make any effort to convince my family of you." But Shrek responded to her and said, "I am an ogre, and for an hour you have not recognized me. You know that I am an ogre, and this is something that is impossible to change." They get angry with each other when they talk, and then a partner leaves the room. Fiona prefers to cry alone. After that, we go to the king and queen and see them discussing, and the queen says to the king, "It was necessary. You accept your daughter Fiona's choice even if you don't like it, and believe me, as long as she is happy with this ghoul, then we should be happy too." But the king is not convinced by her words and becomes angry at her. Suddenly, the fairy appears and takes the king with her in her magical car, and we are surprised when we learn that this fairy does not want to help Fiona or anything. Here she tells the king that her son is the charming prince after traveling long distances and counting days and nights. He wanted to reach Fiona, your daughter, after he reached the tower, and they were able to climb. I am surprised that she married this strange ogre. And the king tells her, "Believe me, the situation is out of my control, and I am not at fault for everything that happened, and that the mistake is a mistake. Your son from the beginning because he arrived late." We see the Pound talking to the king in a threatening tone, and she said to him, "I hope you fix this whole situation. This is for your benefit and the interest of your entire kingdom." The king then decides to go sit in a bar without anyone knowing that he is the king and asks to sit with someone. Her name is the evil sister. And he told her that he wanted to get rid of the ogre, Shrek, at any cost, and of course everything in there. When the Barnes heard the word ghoul, they were surprised and shocked, but the evil sister said to the king, "Unfortunately, I do not have your request, and the only one who can help you in this matter is the person whose address is in this paper. In the address written inside it, and there, I will meet with someone is mysterious and gives him a lot of money because he saves him from the ghoul, a partner at the same time. This is a partner he was. He was worried in his bed and could not sleep." Shrek started. He reads in the diary that Fiona wrote. She was a young girl, and he saw in the diaries that she hopes to marry a handsome prince, and of course, this is the case. He was very upset, and the king appeared again and spoke to him, partner nicely, and told him, "I would like to sit with him." Some in a faraway place, and the king actually said to Shrek. He moves to a place in the forest where they meet Shrek, and Donkey suddenly meet the king. A cat appeared to them with a sword, and at first, Donkey. He is very afraid. From this cat, but Shrek preferred to make fun, he said to him, "This is just a weak cat. I will kill him in one moment, but he is a partner." He started attacking the cat, but he discovered that he was really immobile. The cat was afraid of Shrek and confessed to him that the king had given him money to get rid of him, and at that time, Shrek stayed. He is very confused and doesn't know what to do, and that's why he decided to summon the fairy. Request a partner from Donkey prefer. He cries a lot because the fairy appears at the time of tears and sadness, and this is to help the sad person. And after a little bit actually showed the Pound, but she said to a partner, and without knowing that she is now at her home, they can visit her there if they like, and decide on a partner. He goes to the Pound, and that's why he takes the donkey with him. At this time, the cat kept tricking him and told him to take him with him so he could stay, their bodyguard. And after a while, a partner decided to agree. Then comes the day of the party. The kingdom was supposed to do it to celebrate with Fiona and Shrek's permission, but Fiona, of course, when she woke up from sleep, she was surprised that Shrek was not there beside her. That's why I asked her mother, and she answered and said, "It believed me, she didn't see it," and asked her father what he did. He didn't know himself, and he told her, "Neither do I." I also saw that the queen spoke to her husband and asked Minna even pretends to be interested in the party so that Fiona's psychological state is not affected. At that time, Fiona heard them, and when her father took notice, from her presence he told her, "By the way, this is a savage ghoul. You must review yourself and make the right decision." Of course, this made her very upset at the same time. This is a partner who was with Donkey, the cat, and Kano. They are looking for the Pound House to give him a prescription. He can help Fiona with her because he can't help her. On the way, the cat kept talking to them a lot about. He also told them that it was one more pound. She makes magic recipes that are successful in the whole kingdom. They finally reach the pound house, where they are met by an employee. A partner talks to him and asks him to enter them quickly. For the pound, because they want it, it is necessary and actually the employee. They entered the place and were surprised by Shrek and Donkey. The cat is in a place full of workers making recipes. Magically, the pound appeared and Shrek started talking to it. He told her that Fiona was not happy with him and asked her, he knows the reason. At that time, the pound started telling him everything. She told him frankly, I had never heard that a princess marries an ogre and keeps telling him many stories about princesses who lived happily with the princes who marry them, and of course your partner understands that the pound is an objection. He's basically an ogre, and that's why I don't listen to her words and walk away. Shrek then disguised himself as one of the workers. The factory of magic recipes, and Fidel searches everywhere for any recipe that can help him remain beautiful. He is handsome because Fiona loves him, and he asked Donkey. He took his mind off the road and told the cat to come quickly. To help him and find the recipe, he asked for a partner. The cat searches for a recipe that says handsome or beautiful, but the cat can't find anything like this. Suddenly he said to him, I found a description written on it, happy forever. And then a partner told him, okay, bring this recipe and steal it for me quickly. But the cat and him, he snatches the recipe jar, the jar falls and breaks. And not only that, even the rest of the recipe jars fell. The alarm bell in the place was broken. It kept ringing for a long time and the guards were alert. The pounds arrived at the location and started chasing. Shrek, Donkey, and the cat managed to escape from them. After that, we will see the son of the pound, and what we know is that his name is Charmin, and Charmin talks to his mother. How is the ghoul who kidnapped Fiona from me? He is here, and you cannot kill him while he takes the sword. He tells his mother that he will kill Shrek, but the pound told him that we must find a secret way so we can get rid of it without anyone. He feels a need. Then the bird responsible for the room enters magical recipes to inform the witch that all the recipes are available, but in a small jar, written on it, was the recipe for eternal happiness. It disappeared from the place. We go to Shrek, Donkey, and the cat, and we take it. We thought that Shrek had his recipe jar happily ever after, and that's why he was so hilarious. After that, we return to the palace and see Fiona, and she tells her father and mother that she is leaving the palace to look for a partner and return him no matter what. The price, but suddenly she got tired and fainted in front of a door, the palace, and that's why her father and mother took her. They put her to sleep in her bed. Shrek decided to try the recipe regardless of its results, but Donkey just kept warning him. Shrek was not interested in Donkey's words and asked the cat what he thought. At that time, the cat told him, there is no problem if you try. A simple part of the recipe, and you will see the result. Donkey sits on them and takes the jar and drinks a portion. Small from the recipe, but Shrek shrieked at him and took it. The jar from it again and drank the rest of the recipe. The weather changed and the sky became cloudy, and it started to rain. And that's why Shrek took the donkey and the cat. They entered a cave to sleep in it. For the next day in the morning, Shrek was surprised that he was still a human being. He is beautiful, and there are many girls around him who admire him. At the same time, Donkey turns into a white horse. It looks beautiful, and the cat told them, if they want, the recipe is here forever. A partner must be met, Fiona. Before midnight, I move partner with Donkey, and the cat returned to the royal palace. Once again, on the way, the cat and Donkey appreciated. They stole Shrek's clothes, and when Shrek put them on and rode on, the white horse looks like a beautiful knight and all. The girls on the street kept fighting him. She also woke up to be surprised by her appearance. I changed a lot and became beautiful again, and here a partner arrives to the palace. But as soon as he entered, he was surprised by the pound. She stood in front of him and closed the door of the room he was in. Donkey met with Fiona and told her everything. What happened? But the pound was able to carry out its trick. The malicious woman left her son standing in the palace balcony. That's why when Fiona saw him, she thought this was it. A partner after the change that happened, and of course, a partner. Basically, he's locked in the room, and then Fiona keeps talking to me. Charmaine is happy, And of course, all of this is Shrik's idea. That's why the Pound took advantage of this and told a partner, "I saw that she found her happiness with someone other than you, and she proved it. You don't need anything in her life," and she kept saying it. "If you really love her, you should let her live the life you desire and must stay away from, because in the beginning and in the end, you are just an ogre." Shrik was very affected by the words and became upset and decided to leave the kingdom. All of them, and of course Donkey and the cat, didn't understand. What happened? The king and queen remained happy. Very, very much because of the change that happened to their daughter. She goes back to being the same as before, and at the same time she will marry his wife. Natural. Here, Shrek, the cat, and Donkey appear in the bar with... Some of them said to their partner, "I don't want anyone to talk." He was with me about what happened at all, and told them his idea. "I am also not comfortable in my new appearance, and I want..." Return to the ogre again. The king arrived at the bar, and he disguised himself and met the Pound and told her, "I want it. I changed things in the agreement because Fiona is not. Charmaine accepts your son sincerely." And then the Pound, she gave the king a recipe and told him to let Fiona drink. "This recipe, and I promise you, will love the first person you approach, from her and so on and so on. There is someone in her life now, other than Charmaine, and that's why you'll love him and start." The Pound, as usual, threatened the king and told him it was necessary. "Follow all my instructions or I will destroy your entire life." Unhappy. But the sweet thing is that he had a partner. He was in the bar and heard what he said. The whole Pound, so I move quickly with the donkey and the cat to get to Fiona quickly. He will be the first person you see and love again. Unfortunately, on the way, the royal police were able to arrest him, on Shrek, Donkey, and the cat, and thus the last hope was lost. To Shrek, he delivers to the royal palace. After what happened, the railway became empty in front of Charmaine. The king arrived at the palace and put the magic recipe in a cup of tea Fiona's, and when Fiona saw him, she said to him, "Honestly, the one in front of me is not him. A partner whom I loved and changed very much. I feel that I don't like him." And at that time, King Fadl said all people change, but if you love him, in the beginning you will still love him, and you will adapt to the changes that have occurred. We go to the prison scene, and the pigs help Shrek Donkey, and the cat escape from the place. The cat was talking frankly with a partner, and he said it was impossible. "We can enter the palace now, no matter what happens, because the king placed all his guards on me. The gates are so that no one can enter and spoil the party." The ceremony to celebrate Fiona's marriage has already begun. Fiona couldn't stand Charmaine because she was emotional. He cares about appearing well in front of people. That's why you kept objecting to him, and that's something I strangled him at that time. When we found his mother, the Pound played music. She started dancing so that Fiona and Charmaine could dance with her some. At the right time, Shrik succeeds and makes his giant biscuits. She helps him enter the palace without the guards. They can arrest him because he actually entered the palace. At this moment, the Pound became very annoyed and lost. She shouts at the king because he did not give the recipe to his daughter. At this time, Fiona threw up Charmaine and ran to receive a partner. But the Pound brought the last of it. A magic spark came out of her wand, so that Fiona would die with her, but the king sacrificed himself. Because of his daughter and standing in the way of the magic spark, she is trying to catch a frog at a time when the witch has disappeared in it. The king speaks while in frog form with Fiona, Shrek, and he asks them to forgive him for what he did. And before the clock struck 12, Shrek asked Fiona if he wanted to, "Do you prefer this way forever or not?" But Fiona. She told him that I don't need anything except to live happy with the ghoul that my heart is attached to. At the beginning, Shrek understood at the time that Fiona needed them. They returned to their old form, and this is actually what happened. The donkey and the whole kingdom returned to its old form. I celebrated Fiona's marriage to the ghoul's partner. Do you love him? This concludes our film. I hope you like it. Enjoy with us. And if you like the movie, give us a like. Share the video and subscribe to the channel. Goodbye.